Good evening, guys. How are we all doing? We've made it to the weekend. Get yourself a drink, pop your feet up, and enjoy the show. Welcome to the International Roundup. As you can see, I'm joined by some international pundits in Shreyas and Daniel. And how are you doing, lads? Are you missing United yet?
Yeah, I am missing United because, at least it gives us a little purpose to, actually have something to be sad about at times, at the end of the week. So Right now it's a missing piece, but hopefully they're still, keeping that disappointment up with the way they're going about their transfers. So it's still there. It's lingering, but it's still there.
I was discussing with Sam on the show the other day, Dan, and I was saying it's weird because I'm missing football, but I'm not missing United because it could be because of how bad we was towards the back end of the season, all the bad results. You got to remember our last game was obviously we got beat off. Did we get beat off Palace or did we draw?
Palace. Yeah, we got beat.
Palace.
We got beat.
Yeah, beat off Palace and beat off Brighton 4-0 as well. So I'm kind of like, I'm missing the football side of it, but not necessarily United playing because United playing towards the back end was shocking. But yeah, are you missing football, Dan? A little bit?
Yeah, not that much. But yeah, the other side, I'm eager to see Erik ten Hag on the sidelines managing United.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned Erik ten Hag there because we're going to get into a story very, very shortly, which is literally breaking news about half an hour before we went live. So I'll speak about that in a second. But just on today's show, we as a collective are going to be taking a look at how our players have been doing overseas for their international teams. And just to put it out there as a disclaimer, there hasn't been a lot of overwhelming performances from our players. And it's been the odd, decent one, but a lot of them have been pretty average or below par, which isn't a surprise if we're being honest when it comes to United players. But before we get into that part of the show, we have to discuss Romano's tweet, which has literally just come out. And it reads, so Manchester United have made an opening proposal for Frenkie de Jong after talks started on June the 1st. 60 million euros plus 10 mil in add-ons. Barcelona have turned down this opening bid, but clubs remain in contact. De Jong has never indicated his desire to anyone. He's still waiting. So that was literally an hour ago from Romano, who we all know is a very, very credible journalist. I've got quite a few, quick fire questions on this. I'll go to you first, Shreyas. Do you want him to cut? I don't know where you two guys stand on this because I know we spoke briefly in the chat. Me and Sam have spoken about it in depth, but just on Frenkie de Jong, do you still want him to come if he doesn't necessarily want to come? Because he's come out, the quotes that he's had was he wanted to stay at Barcelona, wasn't it? So do you still want a guy to come if he has that in his mind?
I mean, to be really honest, I wouldn't. But if I'm being completely honest with you, the way the situation is culminating at Barcelona, with their financial status, and, it is pretty much clear that Frenkie de Jong isn't going to be at Barcelona next season. So he knows it as well that, he has to move. And now if you have to look at, perspectives that he actually has, I would say, clubs where he would actually, get some game time. Because if you look at other clubs, he will have to, compete week in and week out to actually, make a case for himself to be a starter. At United, Pogba is gone and Matic is gone as well. So there is a big gap in that midfield and we do need reinforcements there. So if we do buy Frenkie de Jong, he knows that he's going to be starting for us week in and week out. He may not perform to the levels, but I would say at least for the first 6 to 7 months, he would be starting for us without any question.
Oh, yeah.
And
there's no doubt in that at all, is there?
There's no doubt.
He is.
Only, I think another fact is that he is, really versatile when it comes to his playing, because I think that, any midfielder that you pick out from that Ajax system, they can play as a center mid, they can play as a CDM, they can even, play it out from the back as well. And they're absolutely amazing when it comes to their ball playing ability. So that's a side where I would say, if we do get him, it's a plus point. The only thing being, which I'm not that keen about, is the amount of funds that this deal is going to take. Because right now we are pretty much offering them 70 million as it is. And they haven't accepted this offer. And I think what Barcelona did, if you look at it financially, they did a really smart move. They, got an official offer from United. They made it public. So they made 70 million as pretty much a benchmark for any club who wants to sign Frenkie de Jong. 70 million is pretty much the benchmark. So any offer which is going to come after it, whether it's any club from the world, whether it's Juventus, Inter, be it any club, it is going to be upwards of 70 million. And for United to come back into this transfer, we're going to have to come up with at least 80 to 85 million. If we would have gotten this deal sorted in about, this 60 million and 10 million add-ons, if it had been sorted in 70 million, I would have said that, still it's a good deal because he's fairly young. He is played under Eric Ten Hag. So, and this guy, Ten Hag believes in him that much that, he wants him to come either way, whether he wants to come or not. That speaks a lot, when a manager banks on a player that much. Yeah. But if you go upwards of 85 to 90 million, it leaves a big void in the other areas that we have to fill. So that's an area where I think United have been a little hasty, going in with the first offer, because it's always been the case throughout Europe. Whenever you're going for a player like Frenkie de Jong, who is actually a star, if you're going with if he's going to cost you big bucks, and considering the situation Barca are in right now, they would want the biggest offer that they could possibly get for him, because he is an asset for them right now. And if you go in, if I would have said if United went in for a total of a 50 million offer to start with, it would have made sense, because then you could have at least negotiated it to about 70 or 80 million. Now, even if we negotiate, it is going to land about 90 to 95 easily.
That's the thing. You think it could be 95 million euros we end up paying? What is that, with add-ons as well, or do you think it'll be add-ons?
Yeah, with add-ons as well. I think without add-ons, it would land about at least 80. No doubt about it being less than 80. It will be at least 80, because there are going to be competitors with us for as well. And whenever we have been in the race for a player, and we have been competing with other clubs for the same player, the price has shot up, and the way that we've gone about our transfer, it's been really hasty. Even if we could have, sorted a deal for about 15 to 20 million less, we have overpaid about 30 to 40 million. So, and even though I completely agree with the fact that the board has changed, a lot of new people have come in, I would still say they are still, they're still learning, they're still new to this, and they haven't been at United for that long where we could, say that these guys know what they're doing. So I would still say that it is still a transition period, and we could be overpaying on a certain players. But if it lands out to about, a complete 90 or 95 million in total, I don't think that it's worth it.
It's very interesting. Dan, I want to bring you in on this, because the deal seems imminent. It's close. It's getting there. It's almost agreed. It's every single kind of term they're going to use.
Which I know, said yes.
Yeah, which I know you're a fan of. He would be a significant upgrade on the midfielders we've currently got. The question I want to ask you, though, Dan, is, well, I'll ask you two questions. So the first one I'll ask you is, how far off do you see this deal being? Do you think it's close, or do you think it's going to take another few weeks of haggling? And how would you see the midfield playing out if he was to come in? Bear in mind, we obviously haven't signed a six or anything yet, or any other midfielder currently.
I think to answer your first question, I think now this has gone till this far, so I think the club is also interested. Eric Ten Hag might have said that I want this player no matter what. So I think this deal will go through, as also Shreyas mentioned that it may go till 80 million euros with plus add-ons. But yeah, at the same time, it all depends on Eric Ten Hag. So even my opinion also will differ according to what Ten Hag wants. If he wants like a player De Jong to play as a like a box-to-box at a defensive role, maybe like CDM with a box-to-box player, then I'm fine with this deal. But if he is trying to play him as a number 8 alongside a number 6, then I'm not a big fan of De Jong, because at this moment we need a CDM, and Sam would agree with me on this any day, any year. So yeah, so yeah, I think this deal should be a plus. Always an upgrade to whatever midfielders we have at the moment. But at the same time, I don't want us to just chase for De Jong and spend most of the transfer window, and then at the deadline day we go for any CDM, which who doesn't want to come to a club. But at the same time, it's like a scenario is like we are lucky that it's a one-horse race, but at the same time, it's like the horse is not willing to run.
Yeah, exactly. And that is United. That is how you describe United's recruitment, or the way they negotiate with deals. They couldn't negotiate the way out of a paper bag like that. They're so bad when it comes to negotiations. hopefully they'll probably stay firm on it. I imagine if they're going for 60 with 10 in add-ons, I think they'll stay firm with it and try, because the previous tactic is we'll give you this and they'll go no, and we'll go okay, right, well we'll go up, because on Maguire I think initially was offering 60 million or something, or 55 million, and Leicester was like no, and he was like okay, 65 million, and he was like no, 70 million, no, 75 million, no, 80 million, go on then. And it was like, right, sweet, buzzing, we've landed him. Like, we really cannot negotiate. Going back to the DM thing though, I feel like they should just let Sam announce it if we do sign one. So if we go sign like a Sangara from PSV or whoever it may be, it should just let Sam do a video announcement inside Old Trafford and be like, we've got our number 6. And then he's just like crying and looking into the camera. I don't know if any of you guys have seen Juan Mata's video. Have you watched it?
I have. Yeah.
Quite sweet, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it was quite nice. Very classy of him. I doubt we'll be getting a video like that from Pogba or Lingard. But anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah. 24 years old, the youngest. Could easily get 5 years out of him, Shreyas. Good start to the window if we land him, do you think?
If I'm, being completely honest with you, and especially with you, Nick, the people that we had been linked to and the players that you actually wanted to come, the way that it has gone, too many going to Real Madrid, that was a big blow for you. Now Nunes being linked with Liverpool, it is the biggest I could even imagine for you.
You're making me get me bloody tissues out, mate. Bloody.
And now we are in the running for Frenkie de Jong, where our first offer of about 70 million has been rejected already. And we are still going out about Timber, where it's very close. It's imminent.
Oh,
his mom and dad have said yes.
His mom and dad have said yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and
no, because you're just giving journalists ideas now. They're just going to be jumping on that. His sister has approved the deal. It's going through. Like, fuck off, mate. Can't be asked. Any kind of terminology they can use, anything, like, it's so bad.
And even Timber, he's just a centre back. So we still not, linked with any CDMs. And at the moment, the people we were linked to have pretty much, gone to rival clubs or clubs who are actually doing really, really great. And except that, I think one of the things that you mentioned on stream as well was, it was really, really bang on that. I think right now the market isn't really that great when it comes to strikers. Why not go for a player who is versatile enough to play off the wing and even as a striker?
Are you suggesting who I think you're suggesting?
Yeah, I am suggesting the person you are suggesting.
Okay.
And another fact being that player can also play as a cam. So that pulls another spot for a cam position, and we have someone, who can actually take Bruno's position if he's not having a great game.
Yeah.
So I would actually say, go for versatile players right now. I would say wait out, because we've got a lot of talent at the club right now. And when it comes to our youth department, because Ten Hag loves to,
I was going to say, when it comes to our youth, we have, but when it comes to the first team, we're fucked.
No, not at all. So I would say, if he is able to bring about a healthy mix of the young players and the players who he can, get out, get in, I would say, a right winger or a cam who can actually, play as a false nine as well, because you mentioned it as well. A lot of clubs in the Premier League and around the world are playing with a false nine formation. Why not, just wait out a season for a striker who would be available to us next season for a better deal? And, this season, ride it out with a false nine who can actually play at that spot really well and can actually work off in other positions as a cam or even as a right or a left winger. That would make much better sense, rather than going for a hasty deal with, we still, obviously Jonathan David is still in the running, but do we want to shell out 50 to 60 million for Jonathan David right now? That's another question. Except that, there are options like Patrick Schick from Leverkusen. There are a lot of options. But the thing is, right now, if we do go for them, we'll only be going out for them because, they are the only options available. Exactly. Why to, because we've been in this situation, where we've gone for desperate deals just to fill in a position. Like we went in for Odion Ighalo on deadline day, just to, fill up a striking position.
That signing, dear me.
Yeah.
Dear me.
So
shocking,
why to, I would say, it's obviously a fresh start. There's a new board, there are new members there, there's a new manager. Why not, create a new philosophy of, actually doing good deals, wait out. I think even if, United is able to convince players about their project, even they would be, waiting it out, that their contracts are going to be running out, they're going to be coming to Old Trafford. I think that would be a much better project rather than, going for desperate deals, because right now, if we, pretty much see striking options, you've just got Jonathan David right now, because Nunes is pretty much gone to Liverpool. Mbappe is staying at
Not
PSG,
yet.
and
It's not gone yet. It's not gone yet. Steady on. It's not
Are
gone
you,
yet.
are you still hopeful?
Yeah. Well, I'm not hopeful. I'm just
Because Liverpool
living out
are
my
in the
last
race
few
with us
days.
who've got Champions League football. So
I know look, ultimately it's going to happen, but I'm denying the inevitable, or delaying. I'm delaying the inevitable, should I say? But Dan, I want to bring you in on the striker thing as well, just before we get into the main part of the show. It seems like Nunes is going to go to Liverpool for, I think it's 80 million plus 20 million add-ons. Yeah. The striker market's a bit mad at the minute because there isn't any really standout ones apart from him. I know there's, when I'm talking just like pure number nines, I mean, there's obviously players like Nkunku, who, I'm a massive fan of, and I would actually take over Darwin Nunes. If you offered me the option of either one, I'd take Nunes. I'd take, Nkunku 100%. He's stuck in my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, who would be your preferred option, Dan? Because if Nunes goes Liverpool, like we just said then, like, who is there? Have you got any preference for anyone at all?
Yeah, to be honest, in my opinion, I don't think that we need a striker at this moment, because we still can live one season without a striker and also without De Jong, who is number 8, because considering Donny van de Beek is also coming back and Garner is there, so we can still fill that place. But yeah, considering striker role, I think Ronaldo still can play at least 30 games a season, because his fitness, we all know that he's great in that area. So, he's a type of player who will never like to share his game time. So he will be starting most of the games. So I don't think that if Nunes also comes in, he'll be getting the game time which he might have demanded while talking. So I think we can still live this one season without a striker. I think Martial, can we use him? So yeah, maybe with Ronaldo injury, we can maybe try Martial or Garnacho at that position, because we know that Ronaldo has never been out for a long time if he has an injury. So I think we can still live without a striker. So yeah, but at the same time, we should be considering a move for a defensive midfielder and the centre back.
Do you think
it's like?
Do you think there's an element of risk, though, Dan, with that? Because if you just stick with Ronaldo, I know this season he's played a lot of games. He's had the odd issue with his hip flexor when he's been out a couple of times. Do you not think there's a risk with that? If he's out for a month or a month and a half, we haven't got a single number 9 to replace him. Say if we get a tough month when we know in December and November when we get them like clump of fixtures, if he's out for that amount of time and we haven't got a striker to replace, you could shoot down the table very, very quickly, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, but I don't mind like type of a Igalo signing, because he was a player who was filling in the injury times. So I won't mind having those type of signings, but rather at the same time, I don't also want to go for a 80-90 million price range of a striker, because we need other areas to be restructured there. So I don't mind buying if we are unable to buy a striker, but yeah, we can still fill in that position with. Also, we can try out Rashford, Martial, and Garnacho. So you have 3 backups in that role. So you can, with Erik ten Hag, he can still also make some difference in the formation to suit the players. So that confidence is always there.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have to work a miracle with Martial to get a tune out of him. I mean, if he does, then fair play, because Sevilla, he's had an absolute disaster at Sevilla. Like, it just hasn't gone well at all for him there.
I mean, to be really honest, if Martial actually comes back in form, he could fit Ten Hag's system really, really well, because we've seen that he's good with his hold-up play when he's playing up front. He's good with his hold-up play. Even the way he passes the ball around and links up with his winger, or even with the way he used to, that season when he linked up with Bruno and ended up with 23 or 24 goals, he was absolutely amazing. And one of the key factors was that he was passing the ball really well. He was confident when it came to his finishing. and except that his hold-up play was really, really well. So if he can actually, even check 2 boxes out of 3 in that, I would say we are good for a season, because Ronaldo is going to be the main man. He is going to play at least 30, 35 games. And if we need, a player who can just play 10 to 15 games for us, and 10 to 15, that being a lot as well, just 10, I would say. Some of them being off the bench. I think Martial could fit that role, at least for a season, because he is on a big contract at United right now as well. And I don't think that right now there are any big teams or any big offers coming in for Martial. Why not just, make use of him rather than just keeping him warming up the benches?
I feel like it hurt. Go on, Dan.
Yeah, so whatever I said it considering that we need a refreshment at the place of center back and center defensive midfielder, and we have a budget of like what they are saying is 150 million. So if you go for a center back, a good center back and a good defensive midfielder, then that's your budget gone. So considering all this factor only, I'm saying that we can still live without Frankie de Jong and a striker for at least one season.
I get you're measured in your approach. You're not saying you'd rather have 2 other positions as a priority rather than striker. I understand. To be fair, one of the positions is going to have to take a hit ultimately, because like we said, we can't fill all 4 positions that we need. Well, we need more than that, but the main priority positions we can't, unless we manage to get decent money for Bailly, Henderson, the other guys that we can actually get money for. But again, United can't negotiate. We'll probably sell Bailly for 6 million.
Yeah.
And then Henderson for like 15. So like we're shit in the transfer market. So I've got no hope with outgoings at all. And again, in the end, we're going to have to use players that we've already got. We keep seeing that coming out from people surrounding the club saying this talent there that are not performing to a certain level who can reach heights and stuff, saying Ten Hag's going to have to work with these kind of players.
I think the best situation for us would be that the youth step up.
Yeah, well, that's there's a lot of pressure to kind of expect that, but with the talent that we've got and from what we've seen, it is exciting because we've got a lot of good youngsters. But just focusing on the players that we've already got who played last season. That's exactly why we're here today, lads, to discuss the guys who have been out on international duty, performing with the clubs. So I have chosen Harry Maguire to look at on the international duty and go in a bit more depth on how he's done, which I'm sure a lot of viewers will enjoy. Who have you lads gone with? Shreyas first. Who have you gone with?
Facundo Pellestri.
Very good choice. Very good choice. I've actually watched him a bit and I've heard good things as well. He's developing, and you called this quite a while ago as well, so I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Dan, who have you gone with?
Yeah, I'll go with Ronaldo, and maybe also I can cover Bruno Fernandes.
Okay, interesting. So I'll go first, lads. So Harry Maguire started 2 games in the Nations League for England, one against Hungary, where we lost 1-0 and played out a draw. Sorry, we also played out a draw against Germany. He played the full 90 minutes in a back 5 for the first game and then a back 4 against Germany. You can guess which one he performed better in. Obviously the back 5 because he's got more protection. In the back 4, we know he's pretty awful, even in a pragmatic system. If we take a look at his stats, so he's got 5 clearances, 2 out of 8 long balls, 2 out of 8 successful long balls, 1 block shot, 0 ground duels, 5 out of 7 aerial duels, possession lost 9 times, and he actually had a shot on target, which is a little bit mad, which I'm surprised he didn't do that in his ears for the shot on target that he did. Fucking idiot.
Clearance of the target.
Yeah, exactly. If someone just booted a ball at his face and it happened to go near the goal, and you class it as a shot on target, apparently. So with that in mind, I'm not sure if you've watched England a lot during these international breaks. I imagine not, because let's be honest, international football is boring as fuck. But it really is, like when you bring it down to it. But watching the individual players, how they perform in the international teams is interesting, because you see a kind of different side. It's Maguire as well. You see, Gareth Southgate seems to love him. He always picks him, and regardless, he's the only United player to get picked in the England squad, and he's potentially been the worst English player alongside Rashford in the squad. So it just shows how much he loves Harry Maguire. It's crazy. Tomori, who's been doing really well for AC Milan, should have been in with a shout. I don't know what he's played miles better than Harry Maguire. Just won the league with AC Milan as well. Makes no sense at all to me. But the question I wanted to ask you guys is, do you see him getting back in the team next year? Honestly, like if you was to guess now, I'm doing a lot of these predictions because I want to fall back to the videos and have a look at him and see where we was at. Shreyas, do you see him going back in the team? Well, judging by his hand signals, he's either trying to fly like a bird or he's just saying no. I'm guessing it's the latter. Why don't you see him getting into the team next season? And do you think he'd be benched? Captain, 80 million?
First off, I think that the captaincy is definitely going to be stripped. The way, the rumors and the articles have been coming out and the way the air is around the club, I think it's pretty much certain that he's going to be off the captaincy and Ronaldo is going to be the captain next season. And I think when that weight comes off his shoulders, the thing about him starting week in and week out goes out as well. And
wait, are they removing his head? Said weight on his shoulders. I thought it was
no.
Not his head.
Armband.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I think once the armband comes off him, I think the thing about him, being about him starting next to Varane or a Lindelof, or even if it has to be a Timber, it just goes out the window completely, because the only way he gets into the team then has to be because of the way he's performing. And right now, it's nowhere near to the mark, and he cannot function in a back four, especially, in a Ten Hag's back four, where you want your centre backs to, have at least a decent amount of pace to actually track back at times and have good passing ability, have good way to link up, be actually, really, really confident when it comes to defending 1v1s, because that happens a lot under a Ten Hag system. So, and when it comes to Harry Maguire, even his positional sense, we've always seen him, he wants to act as that spare man. When we act, when the kind of build that he has, we want him to, be that rock in that defensive line, trying to clear out the ball every time the ball comes in, win aerial duels as well, because that's one of the factors why we actually got him at the club, because his aerial ability was really good. But right now, he cannot even, make a mark when it comes to his aerial ability. And if I have to compare it with the players that we have and, who could be potential starters for us next season, Varane, he's nowhere near to the quality of Varane, because he's absolutely solid when he's fit.
But what about injuries? Injuries with Varane, like you need a consistency in a centre-back partnership, and you can't rely on it. He's just got injured for France as well.
Absolutely. But I still think, even if Varane is injured, I still think that Lindelof starts ahead of him. The way, Lindelof has performed last season as well. Even when he's been played out of position, he's been decent. And his, the way he intercepts the ball, and he has got that ability to, make those long balls. His passing ability is really, he has actually worked on his passing ability a lot. And we've seen it in a lot of games. So I think under Ten Hag, he could actually work. And except that, it's pretty much certain that we are going for a centre back. So if it's Timber or even if it's Pau Torres, I would say they definitely start ahead of him. And if Varane is injured, I still see Lindelof starting ahead of him. So
hey, I've got a thing for you. Hear me out, right?
Yeah.
Timberlof as a partnership. Timber, Lindelof.
Yeah.
I really like it. Yeah, I like both of them as players, but they've got no height at all. They've got zero height, so they're like, one of them's 6 foot and one of them's 5'10", and you think on set pieces and stuff like that, they're going to get mauled, aren't they, in the Premier League? But I just want them to form a partnership just so I can say I created Timberlof. Like that's all I want. And
I actually, imagined the other day, what if Ten Hag, goes in for a absolute reversal to what all fans are thinking and actually goes in for a couple of centre backs because of Varane's injury record.
Well, they're saying they're trying to keep it under wraps, aren't they, in terms of the business?
Because because at the moment, it's pretty much haywire when it comes to transfers, because there are just names we are pretty much linked and no deal is certain at the moment. So, I wouldn't be surprised, that if we see, a couple of signings, even if it has to be in a single position, because whenever Ten Hag has rebuilt a side, he hasn't, gone about going with the player just to, just so that he does the job in that place for about a season or two. He actually gets the player who can do the job and be actually good at it. So it wouldn't surprise me if he actually went for 2 signings in just a single position. So I think a lot has to be speculated in the coming weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, what are your thoughts on this? the captaincy issue, and who you think the centre-back partnership's going to be in long term?
Yeah, captaincy, I think definitely he'll be taken off of that role, and it will be given most probably to. Personally, I would like Ronaldo to have it, but I think there were rumors that even De Gea is the first contender for the captaincy role. So I think any of Ronaldo or De Gea is fine for me. But yeah, considering his centre back starting chances, I don't think under Ten Hag he'll be starting a lot because Ten Hag is not a manager who will consider the price tag there. But yeah, he will give chance to Maguire. If he is not good enough, then definitely he'll be spending his most of this season in the on the bench. And if we sign Timber, then definitely, and Varane is available, then definitely it will be Timber in the back. So, but yeah, if you have seen that with the England, Maguire is more comfortable with back three. So maybe Ten Hag might have kept that also in his mind, thinking of if we get Timber, then we can also play Varane, Timber, and Maguire at the back three. So who knows? But yeah, he's good for the back three role. But with back two, I don't think we can rely on him much.
Last question before we go into the players you guys want to talk about. Form aside, everything he's done last season was, shocking. Like championship standard. I know that's how he was playing. Form aside, is there a good player in there? Do you think? Is there someone in there with maybe the right coaching, or do you think it's just completely gone? Because don't forget, I know we talk about international football, it is different. I appreciate that, but in the Euro campaign, he got in team of the tournament, and he got to the final, and he was really good in that tournament. And the back end, the last 6 months of last season, he seemed decent as well. But is that because it's, like I said before, a pragmatic system, a very defensive system where he's protected? If you're trying to play open, risky football like Pep does, like even like Klopp's like the ultimate risk taker when it comes to his system and the way he sets things up. And then Ten Hag, the way he is, me personally, I don't see it working at all in his system. I think if you put him in Chelsea's team or something like that with Tuchel, I think that could work. And he'd look a lot better. But in Ten Hag's system, I really don't see it at all. But yeah, do you think there's any kind of player in there? Anyone could have that?
I think that there is a player in there, but I don't think that player matches the type of football that United has to play. Because, like you mentioned, he is a centre back that actually requires, covering. Like when Oli used to play, he used to pretty much play with the back six because he knew that Maguire isn't the guy who can, take on 1v1s after the other. So I think if it happens, like you mentioned Chelsea, I still don't think that he could cut in Chelsea as well, because when you look at the centre backs that Chelsea have, they've got pace, they're confident when it comes to tackling and making 1v1s. None of them none of them hesitate to actually go in for a tackle when there is a ball coming into the box or a player is bombing forward. But I think if it has to be a side like a Villarreal, which aren't the kind of side which press a lot or who actually plays that attacking football, I think he could work there, because it's a really conservative system, and he fits in a conservative system. He doesn't fit in an aggressive formation.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Definitely. Dan, another player that's going to the Italian league by the looks of who's going to shape all our players to the Champions League. We should do like a 5-for-1 deal. We'll send Phil Jones there. We'll send Harry Maguire there. We'll send Wan-Bissaka there. You can have McTominay as well if you want. Just send them all to the Italian league. Because I think the things we talked about then, that pragmatic system, defensive setup, a slower league, I think Maguire's built for the Italian league, isn't he?
Yeah, that's why Matic is going there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. We've got Darmian, who's there, Alexis Sanchez, Ashley Young went there. Who else? Am I missing anyone else who went there?
Lukaku went there.
Lukaku, Chris Smalling as well for Roma, who went there.
Mkhitaryan is pretty much there as well.
Like so many. There's so many of our so-called ex-players there. But yeah, do you see a player in there, Dan? Or are you kind of skeptical about him still? You're like, I don't see it.
I think the player is there, but that player is for the certain scenarios, like certain environment he can play, because last season when we were second, we were, I think, a decent, we have decent defensive record. So that comes down to these two center backs, Maguire and Lindelof. So the player is there, but the particular system also affects the player. So with high line, we cannot use Maguire because you know that how he turns back. So yeah, if we are playing a back line, maybe he can be useful there, and maybe Ten Hag can up his game. But if Ten Hag is planning to go for a high line, then he's not the player to start.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so that's Harry Maguire spoken about. Some pretty damning stats there for him. Obviously not done great on international duty. Shreyas, talk to us about Pellestri on the flip side, because it sounds like there's a few positive things coming out from there.
Yeah, I think, with Pellestri, the case is when you look at his, goal and assists, they don't really speak that much. But, when you actually see him play, like his dribbling, his ball playing ability, his passing, the vision that he has, at such a young age, I think he's just 20 or 21 years old. I think he's playing really, really well, especially, in that Uruguay system, because I think at the moment, Uruguay do have, a good plethora of young talent as well as experienced players in there with Suarez, Cavani. They've got Fede Valverde in there as well. Then they've got Darwin Núñez as well. So I think they've got a lot of talent and a good mix with the experienced players as well. And for Pellestri to, actually make a case for, being a regular player for them in the international games, because he's been playing a lot with his international team, week in and week out, he's been there. So, and to do it at such a young age with such experienced players alongside him, I think there's definitely something in there. And especially, the assist that he got the other day when he was playing for Uruguay. I mean, yeah, I think at such a young age, the way, he was able to dribble the ball, the way, he had the vision to actually play that ball in, I think that's one of the things that we actually missed out on this season, because I think sometimes it just comes to, playing the basics right. And if you get the basics right, you build on confidence, and then, you play on and you get more confidence, you go for those shots, and then you make the cut for actually, being a regular starter for a squad. And for Pellestri, I think that when it comes to, for the national team, of course, I think he's done those things right, because he's done the basics right. Now he's, actually showing what he's capable of with his dribbling, the way, I think, especially, the way he dribbles past players with confidence. His confidence, whenever he's on the ball, you can just see it on his face as well. He's really, really confident when it comes to, his own abilities as a player. Yeah. And especially, with the current manager that we have, Erik ten Hag, he is young. When he got signed, he had a lot of hype around him as well, because we were actually struggling for attacking options back then. And except that as well, he's actually, he's got decent pace on him. He's not one of those players, who's just, looking to get a shot off, and whenever he's around the box, he's actually, looking to make that one extra pass, try to create those spaces for the, for the striker to poke through and actually get an assist. And
does he play on the right?
Yeah, he plays on the right.
Okay.
Yeah. And, right now, we've got a left wing position sorted with Jadon Sancho. And when it comes to, the right wing, there's a big question mark there, because we don't really know if Rashford is going to be used off the right wing, because we've seen that he struggles a lot when he plays off the right wing. And we've definitely got Elanga, but who's still fairly young. So, and when you bring in Pellestri in there as well, who's young as well, I would say if you have to compare the two, Elanga has played much more for United when you have to compare it to Pellestri. But when it comes to, the international squads, I think Pellestri has played more than Elanga, especially, and not even, the games where I would say, that they're under 19 games or something like that. He's played in the World Cup qualifiers, and he's, actually one of the mainstays in the team when he's playing. So I think he could be a very interesting shout, because he's been really, really good in this international break. And I think especially for the youth, when they go back to Manchester United, they are going to be looking forward to working with Erik ten Hag, because he's actually, going to be looking in for options as well, because he knows he can't really fill in every single position he wants in this window. So he'll be looking at the young players as well, who are ready to make the cut, who are ready to make that one extra step. And he's still really raw. I would say, because at times his hold-up play is a little, something that you can actually question, but it's still, it's something that can be worked on, because Erik Ten Hag has made big players like Anthony. He's made big players out of players like Dusan Tadic, who actually failed at Southampton but became mainstays there. So I think it's an interesting shout, and I personally, really like the sound of Pellestri, because he has impressed me. So let's see how it works out, because he's a really interesting shout.
Absolutely. I'm the same with Ahmad. Like I'm kind of like Ahmad SC as well. Like I really want him to do well. I think he's got bundles of talent. I think he's going to be successful the way Ten Hag uses wingers. And it could be the same for Pellestri. Definitely in with a shout. Yeah. And you've been saying this for a while now, so I'll give you your flowers on that. He's been the guy you've been watching. So interesting to see how he develops. This is why preseason is so interesting, because so many young players are going to get a chance under him. People like Garner, who we haven't even spoken about. People like Mabry, Garnacho, Ahmad, Pellestri. There's absolutely loads of them. So Alvaro Fernandez as well. So I think some of them will break into the first team next season, just because Ten Hag likes using youth, and he's good at developing players. So it's very interesting. Dan, you wanted to chat about Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes a little bit during their international duty. So what have you got for us?
Yeah, so Ronaldo has played 3 games, in which he started 2 games, and the first game was against Spain, so he was on the bench, but he came on in the second half, but he didn't get much opportunity, and he was unable to give Portugal his moments, and that was a bit like a decent game, not great, that much great, because he was all over the place. His position was not stick to a striking role. But at the same time, you have seen, I saw that his passing has been more consistent coming into these international games. In that first game, when he played for only 30 minutes, his passing accuracy was around 90. But then coming to the second game against Switzerland, that was the game of the international break, I would say, because Portugal was playing so good, and Ronaldo scored 2 goals. Within 4 minutes, he scored 2 goals, one at 35th minute and one 39th minute. And he was about to score a hat-trick within 7 minutes, but that was near miss. And the first goal they scored, this was the second and the third goal for Portugal when Ronaldo scored. The first goal also, he was involved in that. He took the free kick, and it was the goalkeeper couldn't take hold of the ball, and it fell in the feet of another Portuguese. His passing accuracy in that game was around 93%, and his touches was 50 touches. So he was in that game. He was more playing. He was a proper playing and striker role, and switching between left side also. So that game was the perfect game for him in this international game. And in the last game against Czech Republic, even though Portugal won the game, but he was not up to his game, and but at the same time also his passing was 90%. So if you see all the 3 games, his passing average was 90%, so above 90%. But in that game, the problem was that he was switching position to the right side, so with Guedes. So on the right side, he was not that much dangerous when it compares to when he switched position on the left side. So yeah, at the same time, overall, he looks dangerous when you have a proper set of players. And as I mentioned about against the Switzerland, their midfielder was Bruno Fernandes, Neves, and in the defensive mid role was William Carvalho. He's not that much great CDM, but when you see that you have a decent CDM with the players like Bruno Fernandes and Neves on both sides of the pitch, then you know that the game is going to be very good for them. But coming on to Bruno Fernandes, he is having very tough time even in international. Also, he's not consistent, and he started the first 2 games, but he was subbed off.
Sorry, someone's shouting outside, making weird noises. Some weird people in my thing. Sorry, Dan. I just heard someone outside be like, "Oh, what's going on there?"
Maybe Bruno fan.
Yeah, he's complaining. Shut up, Bruno. Shut up. Sorry about that. Go on.
Yeah. So talking about Bruno, he started first 2 games, but he was subbed off in the second half because he was not performing that great. But I can see that his passing accuracy has come down very low. It's like 75% for that level of player, and he has lost like 16 times per game. So that's a very high count for a player like Bruno Fernandes. So with the stats, you know that what improvement he has to do coming forward in the season. He has to improve his passing and the holding of the ball. And I know that he also mentioned a couple of seasons 1 year back that he likes to take the chances and likes to take risks while passing the ball, but it sometimes is hitting us back and losing the ball so many times. So yeah, but his pass accuracy also has come down. So it's like sometimes easy, simple passes also can help a player's confidence to grow. So I think I think he should first concentrate on increasing his accuracy, and taking risks is not a problem, but take it when you know that it's gonna give you back something. But he should not take risk on every chance he gets. So yeah, the accuracy, passing accuracy, and holding of the ball is these two areas where he has to improve a lot in coming season.
Absolutely, and we've seen that all season, haven't we?
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna end the show here, guys, because it seems to be some technical issues with the thing. But again, we've got all managed to make our points across. You can see, as me, for some bizarre reason, I seem to be lagging about the screen. But yeah, we've spoken about Maguire, spoken about Bruno, Ronaldo, and Pellestri. So we've got our points across, and that's exactly what we wanted to do. Bruno Fernandes seems to be replicating his form as he was for United in the international side, which is a bit of a letdown. But hopefully, he can have a bit of a fresh start under Ten Hag, and Ten Hag can rein in that kind of, that toddler side of him and can rein in the passing, because he's better than that. We've seen him. Like he's been amazing for us. So hopefully we can get him back. And, I say the same with other players. I think everyone deserves a fresh start, to be honest. In my mind, at least. Some people might think different. So we'll see what happens in pre-season with the guys that have been spoken about. Thank you for joining me, lads. Again, sorry about the technical issues, guys. Something's going on with the laptop. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, like I said, we managed to get all our points across swiftly, and yeah, with a lot of clarity. So thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.